You spend your time reading books, watching podcasts, listening to what other people have to say, and philosophizing. Well then, when the hard times come, you may be gravely ill-prepared. You see, many people like to speak about things in which they have no direct experience with. So when it comes to critical thinking, first and foremost, we have to accept that if we do not have direct experience, we have absolutely no idea what we are talking about. And it is only one's ego, one's pride that says, I know what I am talking about, I am right. But if your ideas are not grounded, rooted in actual experience, and oftentimes these ideas are just what you might call, fantasy, have no basis in reality. This kind of philosophy is what destroys nations. This kind of philosophy destroys people. Think about it this way. Take the Bible, for instance. The reason that the Bible is so powerful is because it gives us insight to mysterious and difficult to understand aspects of our lives. And so it's a very useful resource for us. But what happens is that people read the Bible and they have a sort of blind faith, but underlying their practice is a strong ego identity that's validating itself through its identity with religion. And if this person doesn't recognize that they are in the grips of the ego, then they will use the Bible as a source of power and control over others. Consciously, they may believe everything they say, but unconsciously they will be playing a very different game. Because ideas can be played with, they can be moved around. And so what happens is that oftentimes people who have a strong ego identity that is fueled by religion, they rise into states of power, they rise into positions of power, and then they indoctrinate others. Because the moment they have a position as an authority figure, people will let their guard down and trust what they say. But everything that they talk about, everything that they speak about will be from the head. They will just be words. And because there is truth in the words themselves, the words are believable. But in speaking those words, that person, the source from which those words are being spoken, is severely corrupting the message. Because it is a poisonous source. The underlying intentions in which those words or that message is being spoken is secretly an intention of power and control. The ego identity has found a way to pull the strings from behind the scenes, to fool the individual in believing that they are in control. And so in order to remain humble and to be open to receive the truth, fundamentally we have to come from the paradigm or the perspective that we really know nothing. That our brain filters out 99% of reality, and the 1% it focuses on is relative to our personality, to our identity. We focus on what we are interested in, and we are interested in what we have identified with. If we could not so heavily pretend that we know it all, or that we know it's right, or that we are right, forget that desire completely. Forget the desire to be right. It means nothing. It will get you nothing and nowhere. Being right is a waste of time. Time that could be spent seeking the actual truth. And so the closest thing we can get to the actual truth is from that which we have direct personal experience. And if you have direct personal experience with something, then that makes you an authority figure to speak about it. Not even in the sense that I know what I'm talking about and so you better listen, but that here is what I experienced, do with it what you please. We have to get out of the state of always needing to be fed, to take control over our mind and think critically. To say, here is a piece of information, let me extract all that is useful and throw away all that is not. Because when we passively accept information that is coming at us, that is how we become indoctrined. That is how we spread dogma. And when we become separated from first-hand experience, when these ideas become separated from first-hand experience, that is when these ideas become dangerous. Because the people spouting them have no idea what they're actually talking about. And so too, the message is easily corrupted. And this doesn't mean that we can't philosophize. It doesn't mean we can't talk about things we don't have personal experience with. It just means that we have to come at it from an understanding that these are just ideas, and at the end of the day we have to let go of our attachment to any and all of these ideas, so that we don't create an identity out of it in which our mind begins filtering reality and blinding us from the actual truth. Because the stronger our identity is, the more narrow our focus. We will only focus on the few things that are relevant to us. But to come to the awareness of the whole truth, this can only be done through letting go of our attachment to our identity. Because we can go from a narrow focus to an awareness that is simply observing, an awareness that is not particularly focusing on any one thing, but is just seeing the information that is being received, and not so much filtering it through this lens of the mind.